He's an attorney. He was general counsel. And look, assistant administrator for USAID. Didn't even know that. John Bolton worked for USAID. Wow, what a surprise. And based on a preliminary review, the book, oh my gosh, what an idiot, contained significant amounts of classified information. Bolton is so dumb, he turned himself in. He stated in the order that Bolton has gambled with the national security of the United States. Dang, he has exposed his country to harm and himself to civil and potentially criminal liability. Dang, that's what the judge said. John Bolton in big trouble. We now know that the FBI says that they got classified documents in his DC office. He was raided some time ago. We saw a bunch of people coming out with boxes and boxes of materials, and this guy was the former UN National Security Advisor who's now probably going to be getting indicted. The same guy who's screeching and shouting from the rooftops about what a danger Trump is, lecturing Trump about classified documents in Mar-a-Lago. He had a bunch of them in his house, allegedly. Of course, this is going to continue to percolate as the investigation continues, and hopefully an indictment comes down the line soon enough. I am a special agent with the FBI. This is why we needed a search warrant. This is why we needed to go into Bolton's house. And I've done this a long time. A lot of physical and electronic surveillance and more. And all of the materials in this affidavit comes from my observations. And now we think that there is enough to support a search warrant of the office used by John Bolton to get all of the things that we're asking for that we just covered. For what charges? 18 U.S. Code Section 793D, saying you can't have possession of classified material. You can't willfully retain anything relating to national defense. That's against the law. And Section 793E, another criminal charge. You can't communicate these things. And also Section 1924, which is if you possess these documents, you cannot retain them without authority. Okay, can't have the documents. We saw a bunch of the same charges lobbied against President Trump for Mar-a-Lago. As we go through this, you'll see it tells us there's all sorts of different types of classifications. Obviously, top secret, secret, confidential, not releasable to foreign nationals, SI, special intelligence, SCI, sensitive compartmented information, and more. And they've got a bunch of rules around why you cannot take these documents out. But now, with all of that said, here's what they say John Bolton did. This guy is 76 years old. He resides in Maryland. He's a former public servant, nearly 4 decades of service for his position with the U.S. government. He's an attorney. He was general counsel. And look, assistant administrator for USAID. Didn't even know that. John Bolton worked for USAID. Wow, what a surprise. Then he went over to the DOJ, then went to the UN, and then during the first term was Trump's national security advisor. And so he maintains locations at different spots, and we made this our target. Now, where did this material come from? His most recent position in the U.S. government was the national security advisor. He held that position from April 9th, 2018 to September 10th, 2019. That's for President Trump. During his duration, he held a top secret, sensitive compartmented information security clearance, top of the line. Now, Bolton directed the work and was supposed to safeguard these materials. Now, when in consideration for his appointment, Bolton went through and he signed all the forms, okay? He signed this. Yes, I know. You can't take classified documents. You understand? Yes. By signing these forms, he promised he wouldn't do anything of what he did. This paragraph has been redacted. Something happened in 2019. Redacted again. Something happened. We don't know. But then, paragraph 26, a letter was sent by the White House and the legal advisor after Bolton left the government. This is September 10th, 2019. The letter reminded Bolton, you're fired, so give us your information, any classified documents back. Return those. A copy of the letter was sent to his AOL email address. Oh my gosh. Our national security advisor still using AOL email? He's like, well, I've had it for 40 years, so okay. Here's more. Redacted. Paragraph 29, redacted, redacted, redacted. Fast forwarding. So according to government records, Bolton submitted a draft manuscript of his book, The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir. Oh, gross. And so they wanted pre-publication review. They sent a letter over to somebody and we acknowledged receipt of this and we did a review. And based on a preliminary review, the book, oh my gosh, what an idiot, contained significant amounts of classified information. Bolton is so dumb, he turned himself in. He's like, I want to publish this book. Will you take a look at it? Classified document people? They're like, sure. Oh, it's filled with classified documents. He's like, I know, it's going to be amazing. Can't do that. It included classified information at the top secret level. So another letter was sent via email from Knight to Bolton's attorney. The letter said, you better modify and resubmit your manuscript, dummy. There's a large volume of classified information in this book that you're writing. The letter said, look, hey, John, as written, the manuscript is very detailed, suggesting that it was likely produced from notes written. They're sending this to Bolton's lawyer, probably coming from notes that your client made during his service. When your client received his employee debriefing, we asked him, do you have any notes? He said he did not have any notes or other records from his government service. Any notes that remain in your possession may fall under the requirements of Presidential Records Act and are subject to litigation. And so you better let us know if you have these notes or not, because they may contain classified information. Redacted. Can't see it. And Roy C. Lamberth absolutely hates Trump, but in ruling, he stated in the order that Bolton has gambled with the national security of the United States. Dang, he has exposed his country to harm and himself to civil and potentially criminal liability. Dang, that's what the judge said. Judge Royce C. Lamberth, not a fan of Trump at all. So anyways, so he's saying Bolton's like in big trouble. So he is. Now 34, 35 redacted. And then there we go. Yeah, his AOL account got hacked. You're kidding. A letter sent via email from Knight to Bolton's attorney references and described a meeting held in person on the previous Friday night between Knight and Bolton to review the manuscript. So government and Bolton. According to the letter, Knight reviewed instances of classified information and Bolton appeared to acknowledge, she says, the need to modify the manuscript. Yeah, I gotta take that stuff out. Here's a photocopy of notes that Bolton took during the meeting, which have been redacted to remove classified info. Then some foreign entity hacks John Bolton's AOL account. Probably sent him an instant message, little link. So 37 redacted, and I wonder what foreign entity hacked them. Of course, they're not going to tell us any of it. There's a lot in there. Some foreign entity was going hog wild in the emails. Then they found more from John Bolton, and he was sending love letters to somebody else, and John was subscribed to this site, and he was getting unsubscribes from here. It just goes on. And so we don't know exactly what was in there, but there was a lot. So based on my training and experience, including my familiarity with this, I respectfully submit there is probable cause that this dude had unlawful retention of classified national defense information, including copies of the documents in his office, probably in his AOL account, and now in the hands of insert country. Now, here's more. He knew about the rules. Okay, this guy's not an idiot. Throughout his career, including as a DOJ and NSA, he's already gone through this many times. He's made numerous public statements screaming about Trump, talking about the sensitivity of classified information, the impacts on national security if it's mishandled, his personal experience and practice in handling all this. That's why you can't listen to these people. They're just liars, many of them, and just not even understanding of what they're saying. They just say things. His frequent criticism of how other government officials like Trump handled this. Now, during a September 2016 interview, he discussed Hillary and her use of a private email server, and nothing happened to her either. Okay, so they all just think nothing's going to happen, so I can just use it as a political tool because there's classified information everywhere. He did another interview on Fox News. In 2025, he also offered his views on the Signal platform. Remember, Pete Hegseth was getting reamed over using Signal, and John says, initially, I was totally without words. I couldn't find a way to express how stunned I was that anybody would do this. John, you had your documents in your AOL account there, bucko. You simply don't use commercial means of communications like AOL. Whether it's supposedly an encrypted app, he's like talking about this. Meanwhile, some foreign country stole his entire account. It's ridiculous. I can't believe you were so irresponsible. You know, you don't know where you're going to go. You could start off talking about a newspaper article, blah, blah, blah. There's no excuse for it. There is no excuse for it, John. How come you did it? When asked to comment on the Signal situation, they say it's overblown. Nothing even was substantive in there. I don't think that's a valid point. What can this do? What kind of damage can this cause? He goes on a tirade. In another interview on CNN, he said the same thing, blah, blah, blah. So he's running his mouth while he's got foreign entities stealing his docs. Classified docs in his email account. That's exactly what was in here. Yep, there's this classified document related to this. There's this classified document related to that. He sent an email to somebody on this one. Somebody responded back. Lots of things going on here. Probably all just a bunch of different documents because that's the missing part of the recipe. Okay, what is the national defense information? It's all in his emails. So here he goes on, another interview, more interviews, running his mouth. Here's what they say. All right, look. So now we're going to talk about the target office. Now, based on my training and experience, I know that individuals who engage in offenses like this probably have more documents in their homes and offices. And I know that they try to conceal this stuff on flash drives and more. Now, Bolton began using the office in December 2014. What is digital storage media? What is computer hardware? What's a telephone? What's a tablet? Computer passwords, ISPs, domain names, peer-to-peer file sharing, encryption, malware, blah, blah. Now, as described above, we want to go get the computers because he's got a lot of stuff on there, probably. And individuals who engage in criminal activity use a bunch of tech, SMS, text messages, and more. They'll also back up things. They'll have cloud servers. They'll have recovery passwords and more. Now, although some records in this warrant might be found in certain locations, they might also be found in other locations. Forensic evidence is something that we're looking for, and they try to hide it as well. well. So we got all the background. Now, probable cause from this agent. I submit that if a computer or storage medium is found in the office, it's probably going to have a bunch of other records on there. And so I want a bunch of permission to search for them. How can they conceal things? Sometimes they'll change. Oh, very sneaky. You think you're so clever, don't you? You change your JPG, your JPEG file extension over to a .text and then switch it back to conceal the image because the text document, the text reader can't read a JPEG, silly goose. Moreover, certain file formats like PDFs aren't searched well, and so I got to go search for these things. And the target office, he says, is a functioning office and it conducts legitimate business. And so I think there's probably going to be more there. And the judge cancels this out. I also want biometric access to certain devices. If a device is equipped with a facial recognition feature, I would like to be able to just put it in front of his face. And the judge canceled this out. Said, actually, no. If law enforcement personnel encounter any device that are subject to seizure pursuant to this warrant and may be unlocked using one of the aforementioned biometric features, this warrant allows law enforcement to use that. She says no. Okay, so you can't put his fingerprint on there. You can't use his face. Can't do any of that. Judge said no. So he might still have stuff that is still locked. This warrant does not authorize law enforcement to require this person to give any passwords or unique fingerprints or any of those things. And so FBI special agent sent that in. Makshila Upadhyay, United States magistrate judge, approved it, and they got some good materials. One Dell Optiplex, one HP laptop model 17, one Dell laptop XPS, USB flash drive with a black with a green center, one binder that says U.S. Department of State Diplomatic Security, an introductory security briefing prepared for the transition team. That sounds like it's probably classified. One Dell Optiplex, a travel memo documents with pages labeled secret. U.S. mission to the United Nations with confidential documents inside. U.S. government strategic communications plan, confidential documents. Confidential documents with this type of heading. And weapons of mass destruction, classified documents. That's the big kahuna right there. Search warrant signed and asked for permission certified by the special agent on 9/5/2025, not long ago. So the judge came out, signed off on the order, said go and get it. And it's interesting. Do we hear from Jake Tapper screaming about weapons of mass destruction like they did after Mar-a-Lago? Wow, this is our whole country's gonna die. No, because John Bolton has been a friendly to them, and this is pretty bad. So the most interesting part of this, as always, is usually the case. Not all, it's kind of a contradiction there, but as is usually the case, is this section, all of the redactions. And it sounds like everything was just tucked away in his AOL account and seized by some foreign entity. It's our government, man. And they brought Bolton on the cables like every night. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. They went through a handful of them. And he got hacked, and weapons of mass destruction information now in the hands of some foreign intelligence. In big trouble. He's going to be getting indicted soon. You can almost guarantee it. We've got the search warrant has been executed. They got their hands on the documents. This is being filed out of the District of Columbia. And so we'll keep our eye on this one. But John Bolton is in big trouble.